today's lesson, we're going to be planting a fig tree here with Diane of Garden Love Homestead, and I'm also going to be giving you a tour of this beautiful homestead property, so be sure to check that out. And thank you so very much, Diana, for having me here on your beautiful Garden Love Homestead.
Charles, I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so happy that you're here to help me plant this fig tree that actually came from a tiny little fig cutting that you gave away 2 years ago. So imagine how much it has grown in 2 years. It's practically a tree from a small cutting that I got from you, and now we're going to plant it here together. I'm very excited to do this today.
That's truly remarkable that this tree, I mean, my reach is about 8 feet. It's about 10 feet tall, and it was a cutting you got just a few years ago from the Ivy Organic Fig Cutting Giveaway that we do on the first day of February. Notice goes out on February 1st, not a day sooner, on all of Ivy Organic social media, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I encourage all of you guys to follow and participate, not just with our fig cutting giveaway, but all the educational gardening lessons that we share throughout the year, including this honor and privilege of and meeting and introduction you're going to get to the Garden Love YouTube channel as well, which I encourage all of you guys to follow Diana and all of the lessons on her truly spectacular homestead property here in Southern California. And I'm going to give you just a few of the highlights, and you can watch the rest of it on the Garden Love YouTube channel. And I'm putting that link down below in the video description. Check that out. Be sure to click the link and be sure to subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to hit the push bell notification to stay connected to all of the informative lessons that she has to share with you as she makes them available. Well, let's get going with planting the fig tree.
Let's go.
So we've just prepared the hole, and within the hole we've prepared a wire mesh screening. And in fact, Diane actually prepared this just using
galvanized wiring that I got from the big box store. Very easy. I just use some zip ties. I actually have a video on it if you guys want to go to my channel and check it out. It's super easy. I'm sure you guys can figure it out. But I went ahead and just did a little cap so that way no gophers get into my fig tree roots, because we do have a gopher problem. And if it's perfect, we're going to put that in there, mix some compost with the native soil, put this amazing fig cutting that I got from him, and we're going to use this product called Dirt Lockers. It's going to help with erosion and also to retain the soil and the moisture. When I water this tree, the water's not going to be running down the hillside. It's going to be captured by this. We'll show you guys in a little bit because it's kind of hard to tell what to do with this. I'll show you guys what the packaging looks like so you guys can get an idea. Basically what it is a ring that's going to protect your tree from sliding off the hillside and retain the water when you water it. We'll show you in a bit.
That's fantastic. And I see that you've been using these dirt lockers
yes,
all over your property, and it's a way to make a hillside landscape actually level. And you're
yes,
gonna see how cool that is. And so for anybody with a hillside garden, instead of incurring the cost of concrete and blocks and
yes,
and it's an astronomical cost. I know
contractors, heavy equipment,
tens of thousands
yes,
of dollars. Whereas here with these, again, what are they called?
dirt lockers.
Dirt lockers, we can actually level a hillside
yes,
landscape.
And you can plan, which I'm creating an edible landscape. We'll show you guys in a little bit. We'll give you guys a tour. It's incredible. Can't wait to show you guys.
So the other great thing, Diana, that you prepared for this fig tree is, again, using this wire mesh to keep gophers out, because again, we are surrounded by acres of natural wilderness,
yes,
and there are gophers as part of the natural landscape. And fig trees of virtually any other fruit is one of the most susceptible to gopher attack. When we visited Tom Spellman at the Dave Wilson Nursery Experimental Lot in Northern California, we visited dozens and dozens of fruits, but it's wherever those figs were grouped together, the gophers would be attracted and they would basically gnaw on the roots of one fig tree, and then the second, and then the third. So creating this mesh is gonna help deter and protect that root system from gophers. And secondly, if you're going to be planting other fig cuttings, which actually I know you've got other fig varieties,
yes,
which you've inherited from the Ivy Organics Fig Cutting Giveaway that we do again at February 1st of each year. And 2022 will be our 5th annual fig cutting giveaway, where we're expected to continuously give over 1,000 fig cuttings to people that are interested in varieties that are collected from all over, not just California, but across the country. And so what we're going to do is, now that the hole's been prepared, The wire mesh has been prepared, and we've got the dirt lockers, and I think we're ready to get the tree in.
Let's go, I'm excited.
So here I am now standing in the hole, and now it's time to backfill. When I put the cage down, I noticed that there's some holes below it, which we're gonna have to fill up, and at the same time, I'm also gonna be pressing it down with my feet as well. I'm gonna jump into the cage. But before I do, and as we begin to backfill the native soil, which is over here to my left, I noticed that you've got a pile of compost in front of the, just at the bottom, the base of the hill. So I've got some compost as well. And I was curious as to how you're gonna use the compost with the backfill of the plant. Any suggestions or ideas?
So what I've learned recently is that you don't want to add the compost at the bottom because you don't want your tree to sink in, because eventually once the nutrients and everything from the compost breaks down, it's going to be depleted air basically, and you're going to have your tree sinking into the hole that you created. And think about it, when you plant a tree and it's growing, where do you add the compost? Not at the bottom. You don't dig a hole to add it down there. You actually just put it on top and let the nutrients sink into the soil.
Correct. So just like the tree behind us, which is naturally making its own compost with the leaves that are coming down, enriching the topsoil, the worms come, eat it, and drive it down into the base of the soil. But for us to put the compost at the bottom, and I've seen this over and over again all over social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, people uprooting their trees because they're not fruiting, they're not growing, and they're in shock because of a phenomenon known as stem rot, which is when the tree will begin to sink in the hole, and the tree ends up suffering from shock, whether it be its growth or ultimately the goal is to have a fruiting fruit tree, is all contributed to the fact that it's suffering from stem rot, which is when the tree sinks and that moisture is going up the stem. When the tree needs to be right at where those roots are flaring, that's going to be the ground level, and then the tree structure, that tree trunk and the branches need to be off the ground, and that's what we're going to accomplish right here, right now. Now, instead of making a perfectly level bottom to this hole to match the bottom of this cage that you prepared, I'm simply going to drop it and jump into the hole, because as you can see, there's about 2 inches. It can go deeper, and I wouldn't want to backfill it with more soil when I've just benefited the depth of the hole. So what we're going to do is just simply step in here, and that's just going to round the bottom. And now, unlike most gardeners that are going to now mix that native soil with the compost, we're saving the compost for that top couple of inches, as you already explained to us, Diana. So what we're going to do is simply take some native soil, and now let's just backfill it into the hole. Just a few inches until we get to the planting depth of getting the fig into the hole. So here we're going to take off the tag that's just at the base of this fig tree, and this was the original tag that came with the tree with the annual fig cutting giveaway by Biologist. And if we pull it back, we want to make sure that it's not going to be constricting against. You can see, and this will be Diana's reminder until she relabels the tree, but this is the Strawberry Vert variety of fig, which was donated by Paul Talley. And Paul Talley is a member of the California Rare Fruit Growers, or CRFG, and he donates a ton of varieties of figs. One of them very popular is that Figo Preto, but this here is his wife's favorite variety, is a Strawberry Vert, and this is going to be an awesome addition to your home garden here at the Garden Love Homestead. And what we're going to do, and you can see how tall it is, as we did in the beginning of the video. My height and reach is about 8 feet. This tree is closer to about 10 feet tall, and the branches, if we were to allow it to branch this high off the ground, means we have got 0 chance of harvesting the fruit, unless we're going to be using a ladder hillside, which is going to be a hazard situation just to get the fruit. And if we do to this fig tree as we did with the 10-in-1 fig tree that we've got on our property, we basically pruned it down to about 18 inches off the ground, allowed it to branch from that level, and then that way you can train the branches so that all of the fruit, at least most of them, will be within picking height off the ground. So you won't need a ladder to get to your fig fruit,
Right.
which is going to be ideal. So what we're going to do, and I know this is going to be shocking to a lot of you watching, is we're going to use your pruners, and I'm going to let you have the honors of bringing the tree down. So now when pruning and designing this tree for the backyard orchard culture, as we've explained many times over the last few years, you're going to want to create a branch structure that's closer to the ground, ideally about 18 inches off the ground. So Diana, you've got the honor and the liberty.
So
how do you want to design this?
We want to leave this little branch out so that there's a little bit of green and there's something already growing. And as you guys can see, there's some notes here And we want to cut right above them just because that's where we're going to have some new branchings and new leaves and the fruit. So we're going to cut a few inches right above that, and I think I'm going to go above this node right here. And it's kind of hard to get in there with this stake that I put in place to help stand it up since it was so big. So it's going to be about a 1/4 inch. Another cut we're going to do is we're going to remove this little piece because you can tell that there's a hole there. You don't want any beetles or any bugs going in there and damaging your fruit tree.
So now we're just going to get the root ball out. This was recently planted into this larger container. So you can see this here is the root ball mass. Okay, you can see if you come in a little closer, check out all the new growth that just happened in the last month. You can see all those white roots. That's this year's growth that's coming off. If you planted it like that, by the time we backfill the soil, it's going to be several inches too low. So we're going to have to backfill the soil. So Diana, if you can add a little bit more soil, we're going to raise the height of the tree. So now we're coming in a little closer. We're examining to make sure where the roots are flaring near the top. I can see that the roots are right in this zone over here. You can see those first primary roots are right at the ground level. We're adding a little bit of pressure using our fingers, filling in any air pockets to make sure that those roots are in contact with the native soil. Notice we have not added any compost to this planting hole yet. So now let's continue backfilling with the native soil around the wire protection.
Now that we're done backfilling this, we're going to add the dirt lockers. And basically this is what's going to protect my tree from all the water draining down and not getting any water down to the roots. And I'm going to show you how these two pieces interlock together. This part is going to go down where the hill slides down. So what we decided to do is, with the help of Charles, he helped me dig out a little trench here for this lower part to go in so it can sit evenly. As you guys can see, they're sitting perfectly. This will help from any soil coming down onto the tree and covering the trunk, because you want to make sure that we don't cover the trunk. You want to make sure that the roots are right below the soil. As you guys know, that's very important. So this will help protect it. Also, when I hand water this, the water is not going to just run off this hillside. And we decided to put it at this angle because the hill is going down this way. So the water is going to naturally run this way, and for that reason we put it like this instead of twisting it. So whatever hillside you guys put it on, you guys just have to see how your hill's running, and that's how you're going to angle it. Now that that's done and it's in place, we're going to backfill it so that way it can stay in place, and that way it's ready to go. So
awesome. So behind me is uphill, in front of me is downhill, and as Diana explained, the higher part is behind the tree and the lower part is in front of the tree to help capture that moisture as we water around the tree from rolling downhill and to continuously soak the root ball of the planted fig. So now we're going to take the compost and add it to the topsoil around the tree, like so. And as we integrate the compost into the topsoil of the plant, next we're going to be also fertilizing the tree with the Ivory Organics 6 Macros fertilizer. This is an all-purpose fertilizer that offers the plants not just the 3 macronutrients, which are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, but also includes magnesium, sulfur, and calcium. All 6 macronutrients into this all-purpose fertilizer. Super Blend now includes azomite, and we're going to just simply add a few tablespoons of fertilizer at the surface. And what this is going to do is now feed the earthworms, the beneficial bacteria, and the beneficial mycorrhiza fungal network that's going to be integrated into the tree to the benefit of the plant to create optimal growth and fruiting and health that's going to last from year to year. The other thing too is you're going to want to make sure you feed the plant during the growing seasons of spring, peaking in summer, and then slow down by early fall. And then in winter you can usually take a break unless you've got an evergreen tropical such as your citrus and avocados and mangoes and so forth. You can do a foliar feed on those plants to make sure that they're at their peak come spring.
So like always, the last thing you want to do is water your plant. And I'm going to show you guys how easy it's going to be with the dirt lockers. As you guys can see, it's capturing all the water that I'm watering in here. I'm not watering all around, and the water is not draining down the hillside. It's literally just retaining all the water here. And just like you would do in a pod, you fill it up to make sure that all the water drains down into the root ball. as you guys can see, the dirt lockers are actually holding the water. This is something you would never be able to do if you were planting a tree on a hillside. The water, more than 50% of the water you would be watering your fruit tree or any tree by that matter would just be going away down the hill. This way it's actually holding it, and it's going to slowly drain into the leaf ball and into the soil down below.
So the last step is now whitewashing. We're gonna protect the tree from damaging summer sunburn and in the winter sun scald, as well as insects and rodents using this Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard product. It's armory listed for organic gardening. And what we're going to do now is we're gonna simply protect this tree trunk from overexposure of sun. As you can see, the light's hitting it. We're here in spring, it's 12 hours of daylight, and we're approaching summer where it's gonna be 14 hours of daylight and a lot of temperatures exceeding and approaching 100 degrees. And until this tree develops a canopy, it can naturally protect the underlying tree trunk and branches, which we want to last forever, as figs can live 100 years and more. So we want to make sure that the tree trunk lasts. If a branch in the future breaks or dies or gets diseased, no big deal, we can cut that. But we don't want the heart of the tree to get harmed, which is that tree trunk, lower branches. Is what we're going to do is we're going to whitewash and protect those. And then last thing we're going to also do is a foliar spray on the leaves to help cool that off. It's going to help with transplant shock by helping the plant better retain moisture so it gets less sun stressed in this spring planting. So let's get going. So the product's also used as a prune sealer as well on those prune surfaces to keep disease as well as pests out from entering the heartwood of the tree. And also the product being organic and also dries on porous allows moisture and nutrients to pass compared to latex and tar-based products. And also, most importantly, you wouldn't want to get latex and tar-based products in your soil. So this is again going to be part of your organic gardening practice instead of contaminating your soil with latex and tar-based products that are designed to last forever. So Diane and I just whitewashed the tree trunks, and now we're even going to protect the leaves using the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 ready-to-use spray. You could also use the can. The pint-sized can make up to 5 gallons of the foliar spray, and you're even whitewashing and cooling the plant, helping the plant better retain moisture, and ultimately it's going to help reduce transplant shock. So let's spray those leaves now, as you can see here. And now we've even whitewashed the leaves too. So this fig cutting that we took off of the fig that we just planted behind us, we're not going to turn this into cuttings that will turn into more strawberry, very high quality figs. I'm simply going to the nearest node. I'm hoping you can see it right there. Cutting down at an angle, 1/4 of an inch below, scoring it like so. That's going to help with absorption of water and nutrients. We're now going to go up only about 6 to 8 inches. I'm going to go up to that node. I'm cutting it square. And you can see right where that leaf was last year, and there's a node, that'll be where the next branch comes out. We're just simply, Diane, if you want to push that into the soil. So on, here we go. Let's do a couple more real quick. Score, and going up about 8 inches. If you want to hold that, I'm cutting it. You can plant that. Next, taking the next, cutting it about a 1/4 inch away from that last leaf node. We can cut off this young growth as it'll push out the new growth once it roots. So this is one of the coolest parts here in the Garden Love Homestead property. Is it looks like Egypt. There's a pyramid action going on here behind me. She's gonna explain what it is, but the cool thing that I love about it is she took a hillside and she turned it flat. Check this out.
I'm super excited that you guys get to see those. These are called dirt lockers, and basically what they're doing is basically a raised bed on a hillside, if you want to call it that. You get to plant in every single dirt locker that you see here. Some are going to be converted into stepping steps, and others are going to be into nettable landscape. I'm so excited because I love growing things. I'm going to be growing vegetables, herbs, and tons of beautiful flowers. As you can see, Charles was able to get up there safely, a lot safer than you would going up this hillside. It's pretty steep, but with the dirt lockers, it makes it a lot easier. I'm so excited you guys get to see this.
Here's another awesome event that's happening here on the Garden Love Homestead. Show us.
So let me show you guys. We just recently moved to this location a few months ago, so I'm doing what I can because it's mainly me. I'm starting my seedlings, that way I can cover that ginormous hillside that you guys saw, that I'm growing edibles and beautiful flowers. So I propagate a lot of things, my passion fruit, my loquat. I even propagate succulents, and these were just cuttings from my succulent my succulent, I guess, plant. I have them growing all over my plants. As you can see here, there's some roots already. I take cuttings, stick them in there, make sure that the soil is pretty moist. Leave them in here in the greenhouse. And as you can cut, if you come closer, you can see I have tons of them. So this is my little propagation area and where I grow my seeds.
Thank you again, Diana of Garden Love Homestead, for having me and Ivory Organics here on your homestead property.
Carlos, it was a pleasure to have you here. To be quite honest, it's an honor to have you here and have you help me put this tree in the ground since you gave me the cutting. I mean, look at what it turned out to be.
I'm so happy to see the cutting turning into a fruit tree, and I've been following the Garden Love Homestead YouTube channel for many, many years. I found out last night as I was preparing for today that we've been connected since at least 2018, maybe even 2017. And if you haven't done so already, I would check out the Garden Love Homestead YouTube channel. I'm putting that link down below in the video description as well as the comments. For your convenience, just click on it. And when it says subscribe, hit that subscribe button and the push bell notification to stay informed of all of these gardening lessons on the Garden Love Homestead YouTube channel. And most importantly, keep growing with Ivory Organics, and wishing you all happy gardening.